Hey, so as the title suggests, today I want to talk about two uneven but still really good books that I loved. And the books are The Beautiful and Damned by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I love this artwork, by the way. I've read The Great Gatsby, and it kind of looks, if you look close, it looks like it could be The Great Gatsby. It's just like the beautiful woman and the guy, but it's not. And it seems like it would be a very similar plot based on the photo, but don't judge a book by its cover because it is not. So it says on the back, life plays the same lovely and agonizing joke on all of us. The second book I want to talk about, I have a lot of thoughts on this, is The Exorcist. I read this obviously because it was Halloween time, and I'm filming this on like November 2nd. And William Peter Blatty, most terrifying novel ever written. I have thoughts on this, but first, Beautiful and Damned. So I liked The Great Gatsby. I didn't love it. I like this book more. So I see books like this and like The Exorcist get slammed for being uneven. Now, what I mean by uneven is the narrative is exciting and then maybe boring, or there's like a flat section, but it's overall a good book. And I see people like taking stars off of their rating or like really harping on it as a negative. In my opinion, it's just not that much of a negative. I don't know if you're the same, or what you think about that kind of criticism. And I think it's a fair criticism. It's not something that bothers me. So when I recommend these books, I know like you probably know them already, but maybe if you haven't picked it up or you just haven't thought of it that way, or if someone told you it was flat or uneven, then maybe I can kind of persuade you. Because my thing with like the Beautiful and Damned is it's about a guy named Anthony Patch. He's 25. He's very hedonistic. He's just material this, material that. He is the heir. His parents are dead. His mom and dad are dead. So his grandfather is this like mogul of like, trillions of dollars that he's going to get passed down to Adam Patch. Is going to pass it down to Anthony Patch, our protagonist. He meets Gloria, the woman, who is this beautiful, like vivacious, like also very hedonistic and very materialistic, very hyperbolic person, and they fall in love. They're just like, matches to a fire type thing, and their lifestyles collide in that way where it's just that's what they do. They live way beyond their means, and Anthony in his case wants to work, doesn't know what to do, knows he's coming into this fortune, and as you can expect with that type of lifestyle and young people, it goes sideways in a lot of different ways. It covers a span of years, so it covers when he's 25 and she's a little bit younger. It does cover a span of years, but the thing about this is you don't even really meet Gloria. I don't quote me on this, but I'll see if I can randomly find it. But you don't even really meet Gloria for a while into the book. This book is almost 400 pages, and so basically 400 pages, and it's thick. Like there's a lot of text. So this wasn't like a short book, which isn't bad. I like books kind of this length. This is kind of like the upper end of the length I probably want to read, but it's one of these things that I had flat sections of this book where I was kind of like, all right, where's this going? Like the exposition, it just kind of started over with like a different, not a different character, but kind of like a different like line of like the plot subplot. And I did think like, where is this going? What are we doing with this? But that's okay. Like the ending, I loved the beginning. I was like, and then it really got good for me. And then there were like up and down flat sections, but that's where I'm saying like it's a 400 page book. The chances that you love, 400 pages are just slim. Like it's not gonna happen unless you're just in love with everything that F. Scott Fitzgerald writes. But I just still think it's not gonna happen. So I mean I think I officially rated it 4 stars, like very very good, because it's not a 5 star book to me. Like it's like, oh my god, I love this book, but I did like really 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 like the book. It just doesn't measure up to the 5 star books that I love, that kind of thing. So I don't want to say, oh, like see, like I'm criticizing it and I'm doing the same thing. I'm taking a star away. The star system is just kind of stupid in my opinion, because it just kind of, you can't give half stars and it's like, who cares anyway. But I just really liked the book and I love the way it ended. Personally, I don't read too much into those Goodreads reviews and whatnot, but I just think if this is a book that you've seen, you're intimidated by maybe the length or like the breadth of it, or you weren't sure, at least check it out, because I think of all the classics that I've read, it's very full. It's very literary. It's just very character driven, but like also with a really good plot. And I like when books cover a number of years because then it gives me perspective, not being 25 anymore, and it kind of like gives you like more of a character arc. And I think having only read The Great Gatsby, which I was just kind of like I liked but didn't love, this is a better book in my opinion than Gatsby. It's more Great Gatsby is like 150 pages, I think. It's way shorter. It's under 200, I think. I had to check that. But this is just a good book if you're into that. If you that sounds at all interesting, check this one out. I'll admit I got it because of the cover, but just check it out. Hopefully that ramble helps. So on to The Exorcist. The Exorcist, obviously, like I'm looking at like, yeah, it's a creepy photo. So it follows. I've seen the movie like years ago, right? It follows A Horror Story for All Midnights. Wonderfully exciting. It does start fast. It follows a woman named Chris McNeil who is a movie star, and she's this beautiful, I think, 32-year-old movie star with a child who is the one who gets possessed. And then the exorcist is the person who exorcises the demon. Now, this is not at all what I expected. I didn't remember the movie at all. I mean, I don't even know if my parents like let me watch it. I'm struggling to remember like what year that film came out. And there's probably been remakes too, yeah. So I don't even know. I'll have to kind of check that. But this is another book that like starts fast and got me just hooked like right away. And I was like really, I was wondering going into this book, like full confession, I wanted to see if I could be scared or frightened by a novel, and I think the answer is kind of no. But as a thriller, like I really really loved it because it was exciting. It had an air of mystery. You're trying to figure things out. There were a lot more subplots than I thought. I thought it was basically going to be like, some exposition in the beginning and then like exorcism, but it wasn't that at all. So like there goes my credibility as like a writer or like a connoisseur of like understanding how books or novels work. But I thought it was just going to be straight into like the good stuff. It wasn't, but in a good way. It built characters. It kind of bounced back and forth, but again, it got flat for me, and it kind of had the peaks and valleys. But in the end, I see why it did what it did. So if I'd given up on it at a certain juncture of the book, or if I had read the wrong amount of pages and ended on a flat note, I might not have picked it up again. And then we're in this whole thing where I would have not read a book that I loved, or I would have criticized it too much for myself because I'm saying, oh, well, it's uneven. So this book, I'd say probably the exorcism is not towards like until like the end of the book, but it builds up the tension and gets you to a point where you're really invested now towards the probably the last third, or honestly even maybe the last fifth or something of the book. But it's not that long. It gets you emotionally invested. Now, to me, I was not scared. I know, like, for a fact, I'd probably be more scared by a movie, but also those, like, I tend to not be too scared unless there's, like, jump scares, and then, like, I'm probably going to jump. But as a thriller, I loved it, and I'm glad I read it. Again, not, like, a super short book. It's, like, 380 pages or something like that. And there's a bunch of text on here, but it did fly by for me. It's just, I think the criticism is that it's like, well, what are we doing here? We're going up, down, around. And I don't get it. Maybe I'm just kind of biased towards when I see reviews and I see them negative and they say, well, like the pacing and I'm kind of like, I kind of think this way too. I'm kind of like most of us watching, like probably if you're watching this, like, hey, I'm not saying you couldn't be a great writer watching this video, but most of us are not as good of writers as William Peter Blatty and Fitzgerald. And I think we should just kind of like not, like, they're not absolved from all, criticism, but at the same time, like these people know what they're doing. And like I'm reading it's right here actually, I'm gonna grab it. I'm reading Barbara Kingsolver's The Bean Trees right now. I've never read Kingsolver before. I know that this is not her best-selling one, but I know what Poisonwood Bible is. But so far it's just okay. I'm like 60 or 70 pages in, and I'm probably going to read after I stop recording after I eat dinner. But it's kind of like that. Like, we're not Kingsolver or Blatty and Fitzgerald, and I'm not saying you can't have opinion, because of course, like, I can have opinion, you can have an opinion, but it's the type of thing where I genuinely don't understand why people cite being uneven, but like with really good parts, like filling in for those okay parts. Like, if it was bad and then good, like, I get the whiplash. You wouldn't want to do that, but if it's just kind of like okay in the middle, and then really really good, and then like okay, but then really really good, like, I'm okay with that. And that's kind of what I wanted to say today. Like, I don't know, like, I didn't have these are just my thoughts. Like, I just kind of like, I like this channel because it's just kind of like raw thoughts of like what I think about books. And if you're still watching, thank you. And hopefully this ramble kind of just, maybe someone like resonates with this, because I don't get it. If it's uneven but good, it's good. Pacing is not as important, I think, as people like. The lasting impression I'll have from The Beautiful and Damned, it was just a great book. The lasting impression I'll have from The Exorcist, that it was a great book. I probably won't remember, oh yeah, there were some parts that were flat. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. I'm hungry. I'm gonna go eat.